Well, a little early morning Jeopardy, and since we lost an hour of sleep, I wrote it down so I don't get distracted. So the category is things in common, Southern California. The answer is the Brown Derby Restaurant, Alpha Beta Markets, Lion Country Safari, Marineland of the Pacific. Ooh, that was pretty quick. Things that are no longer here. Things that are no longer here. And unless you've experienced them, you wouldn't know anything about them. I know the Brown Derby existed because my mother was an operator at one of the restaurants. And we tell stories about some of the stars that would come in, since the phrase was, "Meet us at the Derby." I know Alpha Beta Markets because I was on those lovely shopping trips on a Saturday morning with my mom. And we always avoided the cereal aisle for some reason. I don't know. Lion Country Safari, oh yes, in Orange County. Driving through there in the summertime with the windows rolled up so the lions wouldn't make a snack out of you, it was just like being on safari. It is hot in this car. And of course, Marineland of the Pacific on the Palos Verdes Peninsula. I remember as a Cub Scout going with a troop out to there and just seeing and being marveled at the whales and all the fish and all the things that were there. And of course, the Hanna-Barbera characters that were there. So things that aren't there, but part of our resonant memory. Most of the millennials will have to simply Google it and say, really? That existed? Yeah, it did. It was an experience. It was an adventure. And now the voices say, well, you can't have this and you can't have that. Stop doing this and stop doing that. A large percentage in the pandemic had their faith severely challenged. And coming out of the pandemic, there's a large number that say, well, I just don't know if I believe in God. I don't know if there is a God. Well, guess what? Pandemics will challenge your faith. And the only way you grow in faith is by having your faith challenged. It's not something you're given in a box and say, there it is. You have to struggle with it. You have to wrestle with it. You have to understand it. You have to live it. And just because you don't see something doesn't mean it does not exist. In the gospel today, Jesus is transfigured. He only takes 3 out of the 12, though. Peter, James, and John. Takes them up the mountain to pray. And they have this unique experience of seeing Jesus transfigured before them. His face changing, his clothes becoming dazzling white. They also see Moses and Elijah conversing with the Lord. And I'm sure the other 9 said, what happened? What happened? What happened? What'd you see? What'd you do? What happened? And they missed out. Peter is like most of us. Lord, this is really good. You know, years from now, this would be a great tourist spot. So we're going to put 3 tents here. One for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. Yours will be a little bit bigger, but you know, it'll just say, you were here. And the Lord knows that things change, they vanish, they age, they fall apart, they disappear. No, Peter, you are the living sign that this occurred, that this happened, that this is real. I'm surprised the millennials are such wimps. They don't struggle with their faith, really struggle with their faith, and just give up at a moment's notice, the drop of a hat. But then again, it's not just the millennials, is it? No. Some people of my generation, and every other generation before and after, struggling with faith. It's far too easy to give up on faith, far too easy, especially when we're tested. But it's in the testing that strength comes. You can't just expect it to drop out of the sky. Many of you, I don't know your grandparents, your great-grandparents. To me, they never existed. I never met them. There's no empirical evidence until I talk to you, until you share the stories. until you share some of the great things that were handed on to you in that legacy, then I begin to know who they are and why they are so important to you. And they become important to me because we share common bonds, faith being one of those bonds. The great challenge for any generation, in any age, under any kind of difficulty or test, is to believe. We remember that from last week's gospel, don't we? Funny little survey. More people believe in the devil than they do in God. Seriously? Dude, are you that stupid? And I just say stupid because it's not logical, Mr. Spock. If there is God, there is the devil. One counters the other. You must have one and have the other, because those who are called to believe must make a decision and make it to where it sticks. In the depths of your heart, make the decision. Jesus was tested by the devil himself in last week's gospel. The devil tried everything, Satan tried everything to get him to ignore his mission and ministry of bringing God's kingdom and reconciling God to his people once again. He tried everything to keep that from happening. And he left him for a time. If I can't take care of the leader, I'll take care of the followers. I'll get rid of the followers if I can't get rid of the leader. Guess what? It still happens today. It happens throughout our world today. We have a second collection for our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine. We remember them in prayer. We support them. It's quite a challenge when somebody tries to annihilate the followers because they can't get to the leader. Or if the leader is the voice of the opposition. If there is good, there is bad. If there is light, there is darkness. If there is day, there is night. It is logical. It follows. It flows. We listen to too many voices in the world. Yappy, 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 yappy. We do not embrace the contemplative prayer and contemplative nature of prayer, where we simply listen to God, we stay focused on God, and that is hard. Try that for 5 minutes with your Smarter Than Me phone. Set a timer. See how long it takes to have your attention span distracted. Contemplative prayer is very difficult and only for the strong. Guess what? You are strong enough. Even if the voices of the world tell you you're not, even if you think you're not, you are strong enough because you have the strength and grace of the Holy Spirit. Never forget that. Today is another challenging gospel. And Peter is very much like all of us. We want to just put something there. It's out there. And if it's out there, it doesn't have to be here. It doesn't have to profoundly influence or affect me. Oh, go see it. It's over there a couple miles away. It's not there anymore. And how do you know if it was there at all? You know by the experience that it's been handed on from generation to generation. You and I are the living legacy of the 12, the apostles first called by the Lord himself. And truly, if you reflect upon your life sometime this week, I challenge you to find those moments where God's hand was intervening in your life. Those moments are there. Oh, the world might say, well, that's a coincidence. Well, it was just a nice little thing that occurred. Really, I don't think that was God. Do you? And all of a sudden, doubt enters in. Cast the doubt aside. Live the faith you have been given. Live the faith you embrace. Live because God lives. Challenge yourself. Don't listen to the voices of the world that will derail your faith at any moment. Look around, it's happening. in very blatant as well as subtle ways. Hold on to your faith firmly, because some days it is the only lifeline that we have.